Hey everyone, welcome. This is Robin from the Persistence marketing team. And today I have two amazing developers with me that will talk a bit more about liquid staking. So, welcome, Mark. Welcome, Puneet. Thank you for joining me. Can you please start by introducing yourself?
Yeah, maybe I can start. Hello, everyone. I'm Marc from Barcelona, based in Barcelona, and I'm part of the Persistence Labs engineering team. More concrete, I'm working with pSTAKE, developing the liquid staking module that we use at pSTAKE.
What about you, Puneet?
Hello everyone, I'm Punit and I'm thrilled to be here. I work as an engineering lead at Persistence Labs and work majorly towards pSTAKE, that's liquid staking, and majorly focus on Cosmos assets. So I've been part of this ecosystem since 2018 and excited to share what we work at Persistence.
Thank you, guys. Well, maybe right before we go a little bit deeper into the liquid staking or the topic of today, maybe I want to give our audience the chance to get to know the developers behind the product a little bit more. So, if you don't mind, I would like to ask a few personal questions first. Like Mark, let me start with you. Before pSTAKE or before crypto in general, what has your journey been so far in crypto?
Yeah, so my journey began a long time ago as a crypto enthusiast and investor as well. And then all that changed in around 2020 when I decided to embark professionally as well into this adventure. I started working with some indexers for Ethereum nodes. We were indexing staking data prior to the shift to proof of stake. And then I transitioned into the graph. I was working as a core contributor to the graph protocol, which is an indexing protocol for Ethereum. And I was leading the efforts to bring the graph to Cosmos, which is something that we did. And we allowed a lot of Cosmos projects to actually use the graph, which is great. And we do here at Persistence Labs. Yeah, I wanted to do. There's where I discovered what the Cosmos really was, and I really loved it. That's why I wanted to do this another step, and I joined Persistence Labs.
Puneet, you mentioned you are in crypto since 2018, if I'm not wrong. How has your journey been so far, and what are some exciting things that you've worked on or helped build or you shipped so far?
Yeah, so I've been here from 2018, graduated in 2018, in fact, in aerospace engineering. Took up coding because I used to do some sort of simulations in Python here and there. So thought, why not? And crypto was a budding space. And I joined the team. We worked at Comdex at first, Asset Mantle. Now, mostly Persistence was part of the Genesis block or Genesis. I don't know. I mostly refer to it as Genesis.json. So, yeah, in creation of the Genesis, and been here since, and have done the older iteration of STK Atom as well, where we used to bridge assets to Ethereum. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff. Have dabbled into most of the in-production stacks at Persistence.
Very interesting. Well, on STK Atom, I will come back to that later. But let's take it more general, like in the general world of open source, besides what you're doing at Persistence, Mark, what fascinates you the most?
I have to say this. I spend a lot of time in front of the computer, actually off work as well. I'm an avid gamer. I play a lot. I used to play a lot. Now I don't have that much time, but that's something that I enjoy a lot. Then when I really go out, I like cycling a lot as a sport. I try to go as much as I can. In fact, I got a new bicycle not so long ago. And then I'm a huge football fan. That's something that really comes with me. I've been following FC Barcelona. I'm from Barcelona. Since I was a kid, I like to go to the stadium to watch the matches. So yeah, huge fan of football. That's one of my biggest hobbies, apart from being in front of the computer, coding, and so on. So yeah.
So I guess it's a stupid question if I ask who's the GOAT in football to you.
Oh yeah, man, you don't have to ask that. It's a messy. Like that's an obvious question, but that should be for everyone who likes football. So not just FC Barcelona fans.
All right, all right. What about you, Puneet? What do you like to do when you're not behind your screen?
There's not a lot of time that I'm not in front of my screen. But these days I'm paragliding. I'm in Beer right now, so there's good wind conditions. Getting myself familiarized with the degree that I hold as well, the aerospace aspect of it. And I used to be in track and field team, so yeah, I do some short runs here and there.
And also very important to sometimes get some time off the screen, of course. Well, thank you guys for this short introduction, and now I feel that people know you a little bit better now. So let's dive into the topic of today, which is liquid staking. Can someone of you just explain me in very simple terms what exactly is liquid staking?
Yeah, so I can take that one. In short, very general, liquid stake solves the issue that there is with, not an issue, but the trade-off that there is with traditional proof of stake staking, right? Where users when they stake, they lock their assets, right, to secure the network and earn rewards. But again, those assets are locked, right, and they cannot be used outside in different DeFi protocols and so on. So liquid staking aims to solve that issue, right, by allowing liquidity, by creating liquidity, by making those staking positions liquid, so users can use it outside of the and other protocols.
Right, thanks. Yeah, that makes it clear. And Puneet, what is pSTAKE's contribution to liquid staking exactly?
Well, pSTAKE, with pSTAKE, we aim to help users get liquid derivatives for their stake tokens. The one differentiator I like with pSTAKE is we are protocol agnostic. We want to be like issuing STK assets on every chain, on every proof of stake system that's present.
You talk about STK assets. If I'm not wrong, in terms of volume, STK Atom is your biggest asset at the moment. Can you give a quick or a brief description what STK Atom exactly is?
Yep. So, well, STK Atom is like the liquid staking derivative that's derived out of Atom. So when you stake Atom, it's usually logged, but when you do it via pSTAKE, you kind of semi-custody it with pSTAKE, where pSTAKE will stake your assets for you and also issue your token representing the amount of tokens that you had deposited. So yeah, it's like, I mean, liquid staking for Atom.
Well, I think this describes like the basics of what liquid staking is and what maybe 90% of people in Cosmos or who are familiar with liquid staking know already about liquid staking. But another goal of this call was to dive a little bit deeper on how this mechanism exactly works. And I think you guys are the best people that are out there to explain that. Because for simple stakers or liquid stakers like myself, it's sometimes it's not necessary to know it, but it's always handy to know how this mechanism exactly works. So let's say if I go back to the beginning, let's say I have my Atom and I just deposit it to pSTAKE, to liquid stake it. What exactly actually happens in the background? Mark, can you explain that to me?
Yes, for sure. It's first, I would like to say it's a multi-step process there and multi-component process. There's different components, mainly the IBC stack. We heavily rely on the IBC stack to make all these things work, right? Because we need to communicate to blockchains and transfer assets between them. Another important thing is that we also rely on interchain accounts. That's one of the core parts of the whole protocol, because it allows the pSTAKE liquid staking module to have an account on another chain, right? Which is the account that will actually make the delegations of the Atom, in this case on the Cosmos Hub, right? So the process starts, as you said, someone wants to liquid stake with persistence. The first thing that needs to happen is that the assets, in this case Atom, that Atom needs to come to the persistent chain. That's an IBC transfer that comes into the persistent chain. Once those assets are here, or not here, but in the persistent chain, you can actually issue a liquid stake transaction. That transaction will take those assets from the user account and will mint the corresponding STK Atom for that particular position. How the quantity of STK Atom is calculated is based on an exchange rate, right, that the module maintains. And that exchange rate dictates how many STK atom is going to be minted for the input atom that gets into the module. That exchange rate can change derived by two different things, and one is the accrual of rewards, right? To keep the value of the STK atom corresponding to the atom that has been liquid staked plus the rewards. We use that extra to calculate this exchange rate. And the other thing that can also make vary that number is the slashings, right? When any of the nodes that we have some stake delegations to get slashed, that exchange rate is adjusted correspondingly, right? To adjust the value of the STK atom compared to atom. So again, the user inputs some atom, we get STK atom out minted for the user, right? And then we take all that atom. The way that pSTAKE does it is that we transfer that atom daily to Cosmos Hub, right? So we take all the deposits during the day, and then at the end of the day, we make an IBC transfer of all those deposits to the Cosmos Hub chain, right? And then we stake them there. I'm not going to go super into detail on how we select the validators that we stake into. I think that's another part of the conversation, but we just stake it there. And then once it's staked there, it generates some rewards that we reinvest day by day into the using the protocol itself. So that's a very high level overview. I don't know if Punit wants to add something in there. We can go a bit deeper into different parts of the process if you would like, but that's like a general vision of how this thing works.
Maybe before we go to Punit, Mark, you said something about delegated to validators. If I regularly stake, I choose my own validator, but let's say I liquid stake now to pSTAKE, and maybe Punit can answer that question. How do you, or how does pSTAKE delegate my atom to validators?
So this is kind of a multi-step process and happens both on-chain and off-chain. So there's pSTAKE tokens on Ethereum, right? So we usually put proposals on the Ethereum snapshot page that we have, where we have a selection criteria for validators, ensuring uptime, if the validator does get slashed or not, if the validator has governance participation, etc. So in this, we set the criteria, we take a vote. If people agree the criteria, then we have a kind of allow list for validators. We sort out all the validators from the Cosmos Hub which satisfy this criteria and that are set onto the persistence chain which hosts pSTAKE for Cosmos assets. Once this currently the weights of all the validators is same. There's no scoring mechanism. So if you're in, you get a portion of liquid staking that pSTAKE does. In a way, it is very different from when a user stakes, because when a user stakes, user has to do his own research on which validator he wants to stake on. But with pSTAKE, it's handed off, delegated to the protocol to choose the validators. It's good in a way because if you select a validator that is going to get slashed, the probability here gets distributed. But then if you actually favor one validator over everyone else, you don't get that criteria. As of now, of course, there are some things,
I'm very happy that you guys have that figured out, because for me as a liquid staker, for me, it's important to just go to the application, to the pSTAKE app, to enter the amount of atom that I want to liquid stake, hit the button, and in a few seconds it's done. But now I know what the processes are all behind the scenes, and it's way more complicated than I initially thought, actually. Another question that I have is, so if I normally stake and I choose my own validator, at any certain point in time, I can see how many staking rewards I get. But how exactly are staking rewards generated and accumulated to the STK atom that I got from my liquid staked atom?
Yes, so we accrue rewards the same way as any user would accrue rewards, which is like we receive those rewards on an account, which is the interchain account that we use to delegate. All the delegations come from that account. Then we take all those rewards and we reinvest them. We auto-compound them back We send them to persistence, and then we send them back to Cosmos Hub as a part of one of the deposits that I mentioned before, and those get delegated again, right? Then this means that over time, as we accrue rewards, there's going to be more atoms staked via pSTAKE than STK atom minted, right? This will make the exchange rate between these two assets to change. And using that exchange rate is how we can, users know what's how the value of their position changes and how they can accrue rewards. Let's say that someone comes at the beginning and stakes when the exchange rate is 1, they will get 1-to-1 atom to STK atom. If they come later and we accrue some rewards, the exchange rate is going to be lower. So they're gonna get more atom, but for the same STK atom that they minted previously, and that extra atom is going to be the rewards that they have been accruing on their position over time.
Well, I can definitely see that you guys know what you're talking about. So that's really good. But are there any external dependencies on the whole liquid staking thing?
I'll take that one. So for liquid staking, the way that we do it, of course, we, as Mark said before, heavily depend on IBC, both the transfers and the interchain accounts. So it gets really tricky, especially in the previous question about the rewards, because in Cosmos Hub, when you stake and you receive rewards, everything is on the hub itself. It's on one chain. But since we issue a derivative token, which is liquid, fungible, everything, it wants to be used in DeFi and all that stuff. It's tricky to distribute rewards on every other chain. If you are having your STK atom on Osmosis, it's literally impossible to do some kind of transfer to give you your rewards independently. So that is exactly why we have the exchange rate mechanism, where we have a fixed exchange rate, and as rewards keep compounding to our account, the exchange rate reduces. So apart from that, dependencies that we currently have is interchain queries, which we use to query the balances and the delegations on the hub. It was first, of course, made by Quicksilver team. It's used on Stride Quicksilver, I think, almost everywhere, and everywhere in the liquid staking landscape. We do also use the epochs module because there was a chance there to be liquid stake each deposit from the user, but it could have led to IBC spam, where our protocol keeps doing one atom IBC transfers to the hub and so on. That is why we decided to do it on an epoch basis, which was a day, is what we configured it to be. Can be reduced, can be increased, but for now there's no spam.
Exactly. It's just to add on that real quick, like that before, when I was explaining the flow of liquid staking, I mentioned that we do it once a day, and that's that's by design, right? Because we don't want to spam relayers with like a lot of liquid staking transactions. So we just back them up and we delegate them once a day. Remember that the user at that point already has a STK atom, so that doesn't affect users. They have their staking token, and we just do it that in order to kind of like help relayers to and avoid spam on the network. So yeah.
If I hear it like that, I suppose there are a lot of hurdles that you guys had to tackle, or things to consider when building this liquid staking applications. Were there any other limitations that you had to tackle while building this liquid staking solution?
I, for one, was pretty, worried. Not so sure, but it was really complex handling the asynchronous nature of interchain accounts and interchain queries. Usually, everything that happens in Cosmos on blockchain is synchronous. You deposit tokens, you LP it, you trade. Everything happens one after the other. But here, since user deposits and gets STK atom, that by design I had to do it. I don't know why, but I wanted it as atomic as possible. Like it's exchange, right? You give deposit, you get STK atom, so it has to be atomic. But apart from that, the staking part becomes asynchronous because we do it once in a day. We do interchain queries, which depends on relays. All the relays decided to stop one day, of course we can run it ourselves. But if they decide to stop, then we wait for 2-3 hours, 15 minutes, whatever. So it adds a lot of asynchronity to the code, which makes a lot of things a lot complex. Sorry.
Well, one other thing that I definitely wanted to talk about, and a very important thing as well, especially when it comes to liquid staking, I suppose, is security. Um, I suppose you guys have a lot of security checks in place in the code. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, I can talk a bit about that. Like, first of all, I would like to make it very clear that as a team and as a company, we take security as something super important. Nothing is for granted when we talk about security, especially on the blockchain space, right? So that's something that we like strive to improve on a daily basis. We put a lot of effort into making our product as secure as possible. So yeah, just wanted to make that clear because I think it's really important, right? And yeah, for sure, we have a lot of security checks all around the code, right? I can talk a bit about the more significant ones. Like something that comes to my mind real quick is like we were talking about the exchange rate, right? That's what defines how much STK Atom is going to be minted and how many Atom is going to be given back to users when they unbond their positions. We have a check around that, right? So we define an upper and a lower limit for that value, right? Which has some room and it changes. We keep changing it as it decreases, right? And in the event that that exchange rate goes super high or super low, right? To avoid major issues, we raise an alert and we completely block the host chain, so nothing can be done with it, right? We deactivate it, let's say, and then it stops all operations until we activate it back, which needs to be done manually and from like an admin account, right? And we do that again to avoid having issues. Like imagine there's a bug or something that we think it's completely unrelated, but it ends up affecting, for example, the exchange rate, right? That changes, and we allow users to mint immense amount of STK Atom with a small amount of Atom. We don't want that to happen, and that's one of the checks that we have in place. Then that switch that I was talking about, it's also present at different levels. So if the chain is deactivated, there's no deposits, there's no unbondings, there's nothing happening with that chain, and we need to reactivate it back when we found the issue, fix it, etc. So it gives us some time to fix it.
Okay, and if you don't mind me asking, while doing all these checks, have you ever found something that you might have overlooked while coding?
Yeah, I mean, we test a lot. We have unit tests, we do manual testing, and we keep looking at all the queries. So there was a time when we were testing for some other component of the code, which was we were querying hub for the delegations to check if there is slashing going on. But we saw that sometimes the variables used to get auto written with a new value, and that used to get stored in the database. It was like well, that's in coding terms, not to mess with pointers is what they say. So but that these were some really tricky. I think it happened twice. Yeah, in pSTAKE, but it was never in production. It was I think even before we went for our audits. Maybe that's why the audit reports came relatively cleaner. Yeah, but yeah, there were issues that we found and fixed.
Sorry to interrupt. Now that you were talking about audits, I think it's also worth mentioning that all the code is obviously audited, right? And we run audits for everything we do. And why not? Like I think it's good to say that we obviously found some issues that's normal while auditing. But I think that the overall look of the code is very good and very good shape. And I don't want to jinx it, so let's touch on wood. But there's everything looks fine. That there hasn't been anything major found on any of the audits. So and that's something that makes us proud as a team, as an engineering team. So yeah, wanted to say that.
It's very important also to be open and transparent and to learn from your mistakes if there are mistakes. But I'm very happy to hear that nothing major has come up. I'm not gonna say yet. I'm also gonna touch wood, of course. But means that you guys are doing an amazing job, of course. Um, well, I know that pSTAKE delivered the first liquid staking solutions for Atom in Cosmos way back. But pSTAKE is not the only liquid staking protocol out there. So my question would actually be like, how is pSTAKE different from any other liquid staking protocol in Cosmos or in general?
In Cosmos, we have three liquid staking protocols. Actually, there are a few more which are just not marketed well, I guess. Yeah, in Cosmos, we mostly know there's Quicksilver, Stride, pSTAKE. Uh, all of them rely on interchain accounts, so they are pretty much same. Although minting is different in Quicksilver, rewards auto compounding is pretty much the same in all three. The unbonding tokens that you get, it's different in all the three. So there are subtle differences, but the stack used is pretty much the same. Basically, it's the coding rules that each company or organization upholds. Only the structure changes, but the stack remains the same. But that's only Cosmos based. pSTAKE in general, it's present on Binance and Ethereum. So
yeah, I think you touched on a very important one there, and something I also want. I think that differentiates us from the other protocols is the way that we distribute delegations to validators, right? Quicksilver, like I think they announced that they want to like use this what they call intents, so users will be able to choose or say which validators they would like their stake to be delegated on, right? We do a totally different approach as we like have talked before, which is much more similar, for example, to what Stride does. But I think that the big differentiator here is that we are aiming and to delegate to as many validators as we can within the set to make it as distributed as we can. We are working on a new way of doing that, which is going to be announced soon, I guess. But that's something that really I think it's really important and really differentiates that from the rest, which is like having our delegations distributed among as many validators as we can, because that I think that helps the distribution and decentralization of the network. And especially being a liquid staking provider, right? You're going to delegate a lot, and I think that's an important factor.
Thanks for that explanation. But besides that, since I have you on this call, the developers, are there any specific things that you doing different in the code to make it more efficient, or to make pSTAKE more efficient than the other liquid staking protocols?
Yes and no. So efficiency, of course, we strive for efficiency in the case that we don't spam other chains, we don't spam persistence chain, and we try to keep it consolidated into one module. So we just have liquid stake IBC module that does everything related to liquid staking of assets. Of course, we take help from two other modules, the interchain query and the epochs module, but those are more generic modules. But everything is consolidated into one module for us. The aim, instead of like efficiency, because of course efficiency is something that can be improved by percentages. We can aim for it whenever we want. The aim is security, and I think the simplest and the dumbest things are more secure. So we try to keep the code as simple as possible. And that's the major focus. And then efficiency can always be improved on.
All right, thank you guys. Thanks for all this explanation that you gave me and the audience, and for everybody or for anyone who made it this far into the video. I can assure you that liquid staking is not as difficult as it looks or as it sounds from this interview. So I would definitely suggest to have a look at cosmos.pstake.finance to try it out for yourself and to see that actually the UI UX is way more easy than how our developers Marc and Puneet here have explained that what goes behind the scenes. Here, I think I can conclude the call. I want to thank you, Marc and Puneet, for being here, for giving all these detailed explanations. I learned a lot today. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well, and I can interview you guys again.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure for me to be here, for inviting me. I hope you will invite me again. I really enjoyed it because there's a lot of topics we can talk about. So again, thank you.
Thank you here as well, Robin. Yeah, if anyone wants to talk nerdy things or anything tech, it's always a good time.
Yeah, maybe that's another good thing to add. If anyone has any technical questions that for our developers, please do reach out on all our social medias, whether it's Twitter, Telegram, Discord. They will be more than happy to address all your questions and to help you further with your issues. So thank you again, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening or morning, wherever you're calling from, and hope to see you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.